Evening all, evening all. Sorry, I hope somebody's out there in YouTube land. If you are, say hello and hit that like button. Sorry, I was going to publish this tomorrow, but I had a second wind. Morning, Charles. Uh, I definitely had a second wind. So let me know if you can hear me okay, because I'm using a different microphone now from what I usually use. And I thought I realised I was going to do this tomorrow, but then I realised I'm actually going out tomorrow night, so I couldn't I couldn't do it tomorrow anyway. So I thought, well, I'll come along and do enough tonight, just as a bit of a paint and a chat. So I do apologise if anybody is waiting for this tomorrow, and they've already missed it. But here we are. As I say, let me know if you can hear me okay in YouTube land. Let me just adjust the old camera. It's the first time I've done one of these for a little while. So JT, John Clarkey, Charles, hello everybody. And yes, I am well, thank you. Very well. Just a little bit tired. I was up at stupid o'clock this morning, taking my wife to the station, but she's away now, and I was just watching TV, and I thought, well, what I'll do is I will come back and I will do a live stream. I've got a few things I want to paint, some bits and pieces I've got on the table here. So these Prussians, JT said, "Had day off today. Watch interesting video on World War One Wargaming along with your latest Mud and Blood battle report." Good stuff. I hope you enjoyed it. Did you enjoy it? Let me know if you enjoyed it. I've also got this little another little allotment here, and I've also got this little greenhouse that I'm going to do something with tonight, and also some bicycles and things. So I've just got a few bits and pieces. I'll try to get to those, but the most important thing is I'm going to paint these Prussians. I want to get these done so I can get them varnished, so I can then do everything. Also, hit that like button if you're watching out in YouTube land. So I hope everyone's all right. So like I say, this is the first one of these I've done for a while, because I've just not had a chance. I've been very busy. Because my wife's been back in the house, so unfortunately I've not really had a huge amount of spare time, but I've had some spare time, you know it is, but I'm in tonight, so I thought, well, I may as well entertain myself whilst entertaining you. Double dip evening, good to you. So yeah, what's everybody painting out there in paints and chat land? Let me know. I've just come back from an exhibition up at the local museum. Hi David, good to have you on board. An exhibition up at the local museum called the Lions of Rotherham, which is about the men from Rotherham who went and fought in the Spanish Civil War, including my great uncle Tommy James. So it was really nice to see that. And also tomorrow night, the reason I can't do a live stream tomorrow night is because I'm going to go and see a play about him. They're doing a play as well, a local youth theatre. So I'm really looking forward to that. That should be good. Met one of the actors tonight who is actually playing Tommy James, who fought in the Spanish Civil War. As I say, one of 4 men from Rotherham. I didn't know much about the others, so it was nice to find out a bit about them as well. And it was a nice little event as well. Some kids put on a little youth play about the Spanish Civil War. That was lovely. So it's really nice to see kids getting involved with their local history, and even nicer the fact that it's one of my ancestors. What we're saying, JT's painting War Games Atlantic French War One, mixture of early and late war stuff. Good stuff. John Clarkey, no painting tonight, having a lazy night. Good. I was having a lazy night, and I realised I kind of want to get these Prussians finished. They've been sat here for a little while. These are the 18mm ones, and then I can at least play the Palance Noir scenario. Not this weekend, because this weekend I'll probably be filming a Christmas game. I'm also currently working on a Christmas specific video at the moment as well. Painting a necromantic Blood Bowl team for one of your friends. Hills including Henry Hill and Manassassanassas under construction. Good stuff. Good to see what's going on out there. So yeah, I've got a few ideas of videos that I want to film over the next coming weeks, and also as well over the next coming weeks. We've got Steel Lard coming up, and I've also got another games day down at the club as well on the Sunday, on the 26th. So I'm looking forward to that as well. That should be fun. That should be good times. And I'm going to take O Group down and get Dex and Steve into O Group because they both want to play it. Well, I don't know if Dex does, but he's going to play it. That's the thing. So as I say, if you've got 10 of us watching, hit that like button, folks. Get those algorithms popping. So yeah, these are the nice AB miniatures Prussians. All I'm doing is I'm just doing the highlights on them because they're all basically they're block painted, and then I've done large parts of them at this point. I just want to get them finished and out of the way because I've also got some hay bales on their way from Sabotaged as well. So I want to clear the desk before I get those done. And the only other stuff I've got really at the moment is a lot of buildings, which I really should get around to painting. I just haven't had a chance really. They will happen. There's no desperate rush for them. They will happen. But yes, I've been looking forward to playing this scenario in particular, the Plants Noir one with the Prussians, and it's a short practice game, but it's actually played on a very small map, so it's only on a 3x4 basically. So it's going to be really intense and proper street fighting, Napoleonic style. So it should be interesting, and there's actually a lot of figures in it as well. Evening, Jonas. Noble hobby tonight. You are herding cats. Yeah, I know that problem. You know, that's what being a cat owner is all about, or being owned by cats. That's what it's all about. My cats are currently being herded as well. We look, First Man says we'll be ready for the club Sunday. Good stuff. Is that for the Sunday, the big game day Sunday? Be interesting to see it. Speaking of cats, Tiny has just arrived. Evening, Dom. Good to have you on board. Got another 44 Hawks and 19 Hobgoblin to paint. Hobs need primer and Napoleonic French infantry to paint in January for Mini War Mutt's next paint challenge. Okay. Good stream last night, Dom. Sorry I couldn't watch all of it in live. That comment I made about the Vietnam what a cowboy was a joke, because John Savage has been painting stuff for Vietnam, for a chain of command Vietnam. Just to make you aware, if you remember, I asked a question, but it was a good one last night. Rich is always good value for money. He's a born entertainer. So I caught up with the rest of it this morning. Where's Tiny? He's disappeared off. And yeah. Simon, evening. 28mm Victrix and Norman Cavalry on your hobby desk tonight. Excellent. God, we've got quite an eclectic mix of things all the way through history. It's always interesting to see what everybody else is up to, if nothing else. All right. Richie's good fun. Yes, he is indeed. Yeah, he's a good man. Very happy to spare his time with people as well. It's good to see. So I've been in conversation with Ivan from Nordic Weasel Games the last couple of days, and he was talking about us getting together and recording another First World War special chat. Is that something people would be interested in? He's done quite a few First World War games as a writer. Yep, more time equal more 6mm more better. And he wrote Trenchhammer, which I'm a big fan of, which I really should do a review of actually, and some games of. It's a great game, but we had a First World War chat before, so I said what I'd do is, last time it was a live stream though, and the problem is when you do live streams, or at least when I do live streams, they kind of get lost in with the rest of the live streams rather than anything else. So I said, well, why don't we just record a proper chat between us, and then we can cover quite a few different subjects. Because obviously, when you have somebody who writes rules on a stream, as last night on the PCP, for example, you always get lots of people asking, saying, when's so and so coming out? When you're doing this? When you're doing that? And you either stop and answer all the questions, or you chat and ignore the questions, and I never know which is the best answer. So I thought, if we just record something and then I can put it on the main channel rather than the live streams playlist, I think that works. Transferring pics and videos from phone to laptop, internet slow. That's always a ball ache of a thing to do anyway, Charles, having to get all your pictures off your phone. I do it every so often. I should really link them up, but I can't always be bothered. And then I forget which ones I've actually put on the computer anyway. But yeah, I'm currently I'm in the middle of working on a First World War themed video that hopefully I'll be able to get done for Christmas, because it should be for Christmas. Good evening. At work right now, putting finishes touches to your first pair of O Group battalions and scenery and such. What O Group battalions are you working on there, Jacob? Always good to see people working on O Group, a game I haven't played in ages. So that's why I'm gonna play it at the club in a few weeks, and I might record a game as well in between all the other stuff that I've got planned for myself over the next few weeks while the wife is away. Among other things that are also happening. But yes, it's going to be a busy few weeks, I think. Evening, Benjamin. Good to have you on board. And if you are joining the stream just now, let us know what you're painting or what you're up to. If you are painting anything, or if you're doing what Charles is doing and transferring photos from laptop to other things. Periplastic French Nights, it's a chore. Find the discussions interesting. Listen to the old Yorkshire Gamer Pod with you and Sean Clark. That was awesome. Well, thank you very much. There's a few of those. Germans and Soviets using Victrix 12mm offerings. Very nice. Yeah, I'd like to do some 12mm stuff, but everything's I got in 15 minutes anyway, so in 15mm, so there's not much point. Soviet Foo, the PTRS teams, excellent. Battalions themselves are done. Excellent, excellent. Armoured or unarmoured for Simon Stokes. I can't remember what it was Simon was painting. Somewhere back in the chat. Yeah, answer the question, Simon. But yeah, as I say, at the moment all I'm doing is literally just doing the highlights on these bits and pieces. Armoured, there you go. Painting 15mm German tanks for a historical wargaming event next week. Excellent. Evening, Tim. Evening, all. Listening to you on your drive home. Well, keep your eyes on the road. In your opinion, Alex, what changes would you make to Mud and Blood Cock to make it next level, i.e. make it feel more like a First World War game? Let me come back to that, JT, 1 second. The usual, more hedges. Still think a Lardy World War II Desert Skirmish game is needed, just to be able to name it. Yeah, if nothing else. A good idea. Well, Rich was talking on the Plastic Crack podcast last night, talking about going commando, which would work probably pretty well for the LRDG stuff, I would assume, and that'd be interesting. And I'm sure there'd be plenty of people interested in that. I wonder if I don't know if they've been influenced by 0200 hours, or if it's just something that they have naturally worked towards as well. That's been interesting, because I know Nick has been looking at the Saint Nazaire stuff for a long time, and has been building, Saint Lauder Docklands for the various Lardy games, and I think that is using possibly some kind of commando style raids. I think you never know, maybe something that might come out at some point. What changes to make to Mud and Blood to make it to the next level. Plenty of people interested in going commando. Indeed. Well, a small number of figures, isn't it? Well, at the moment, JT, I'm currently working on Great War Chain of Command, and I'm going to try it out at Steel Lard for its first play. I've recorded a video with it, just with some of the ideas that I've used, and what I've done is, I think I mentioned this before in a previous one. 28mm Brunswick Avant-Gardes, epic pike and shot, and command stands for Bruce in Ireland, all getting worked on tonight. All madness. Just do one colour on each one, then it's not so mad. So the idea is basically cocking up the mud and the blood as the basis, but just adding a few more little bits and pieces. Like I've lifted the rules for stoppages, for machine gun stoppages, out of Mud and Blood, where if you roll more 1s and 6s, your gun jams or your grenades run out after the next round's firing. What I've also done as well, World War II hex encounter and back table. Blimey, doing a lot of you're doing a lot of playing there. I've also started to design trench raiding as a game within a game. But what I've done is, one of the other main things I've changed is using chain of command points rather than the chain of command dice. So you can use a chain of command dice for all the normal stuff like ending the turn, ending a barrage, moving a sniper, yada yada yadas. But also, I'm having it that you can do a thing that's called a platoon move, which is if you activate 3 or more of your sections at once by any means, you can spend a chain of command dice, and then each of those sections will get a bonus. They can either take a bonus move, or they can take a bonus, an extra +1 to hit. Platoon coordination. So I thought, because that makes you then fight more like it's the First World War with a platoon. Also, the other thing is as well, you can spend chain of command points as you are building them up. You don't have to wait for the dice, and then you can spend like an extra. You get an extra move, depending on how many you spend. You might get an extra dice for moving, or you might get a few extra pips on your dice for moving. Same with firing. You can spend them to increase your firing, and a few other bits and pieces as well. I also as well have introduced, kind of based on Rich's jungle terrain rules from the Far East Handbook, variable terrain, which I've also kind of lifted from some from an old Mud and Blood thing, where you put an extra card in called abysmal terrain, and if that came up then it was harder to move. This time what you do is, if you're in abysmal terrain, you roll a dice, and depending on the right dice score, it depends on how fast you can move or not. So it's kind of trying to emulate the quagmires of 3rd Ypres, for example, and really badly battered and shelled areas. So it's difficult. It might be difficult for you to move forward. So I thought little things like that, just to add to it. The other major thing I've put into it is trench raiding. And as I say, this is a game within a game. The rest of the games are going to be like based on platoon formations as they were. So you would do it like a normal chain of command platoon, but in the trench raid, you just roll to see what your forces are. So you don't choose them, you just roll them. You roll to see how many sections you get, you roll to see how many men are in those sections, roll to see how many leaders you get, and then the enemy also do the same, so you don't know what you're actually facing when you get into the enemy trenches. And they're going to have scenario specific goals within those games. So it'll be like capturing some information, capturing some prisoners, causing mayhem, destroying a strong point. The kind of thing that was happening in trench raids or even just patrolling. And I just thought, because trench raids are one of those things that are very misunderstood by people. Dave said, go 6 mil, set whole armies in motion. Paris taxi, bring you frozen snow. No. Platoon level. There's too many There's too many rules that already do that level. There's a Great War Spearhead, and I'm doing it at platoon level because that's where the tactical innovation started and where it was. And so I've got just a few ideas like that, really. But as I say, I've not actually tried them out in a proper game situation, but I am going to be taking them along to Steel Lard in a couple of weeks. In fact, in a week on Saturday, and I'll be unveiling them there for the first time to see if they survive first contact with the players, which I doubt they will, but that's what it's about. Anyway, 26 people watching, 12 likes. Hit the like button, folks. So I don't know if that was a long answer for you or a short answer for you, but it was certainly an answer for you. Right, that's those guys done. I need to varnish those, but I'll do those after I've done the stream. And then they just need their bases finishing with the other ones. So I was waiting for the other ones to do so I could get them all based together. There's no point doing them individually. Right, the next thing I need is a sheet of plastic card. Let me just grab that because I'm going to make another little allotment. That's my next plan. For a Great War themed video, what I would find really interesting is focusing on specific action, talking about background behind it and how you may be able to recreate it on the table. That's a good idea, actually. I could do that with quite a few, but there's quite a lot of battles. For example, the fighting in Bourlon Wood during Cambrai. That would be interesting. Very bloody fighting that went on, very close combat, and great for battalion level all the way down to platoon level, really. Right. So what I want to do is I want to make another couple of little allotments, I think, because it doesn't hurt having too many allotments, and I can add them to I'm just basically using up some of these little bits and pieces of stuff I've got. So I need a ruler first of all. I'm just going to reply to my wife. Talk amongst yourselves for a minute. There we go. And right, let me just get this old ruler out here. So yeah, that's a good idea, Simon. Let me. I will probably put that into motion at some point. I want it 5 centimeters. I want it slightly bigger, 5 centimeters. Did the like nude, giving up on sanding foam. It's noisy. Good stuff. Don't sand foam. Dig for victory. Absolutely. I was thinking the other day, I wonder when allotments actually started to become a thing. I know obviously they took off massively in the Second World War, but they were around before that. You know, like little kitchen gardens and things like that. They were certainly kicking about, but I don't know the actual, history of them as a formal or semi-formal thing that people did. Evening, Richard Hogg. The other Singapore house hasn't arrived yet. Just in case you were asking. I know you're not. You only just sent it. It'll be some post if that was the case. Let's just get these marked out roughly. I'm just going to make a couple. I think 2 is enough for tonight, and I'm just going to do the basics on them anyway, and I'll finish them off tomorrow or over the rest of the week. I just want a couple of them. These ones are about 7 centimeters by 7, and this one's 8 centimeters by 7, just to give them different shapes. And then, yes, a greenhouse will fit on it. I mean, obviously, greenhouses are relatively modern 20th century invention. Evening, Steve. Looking forward to the first game, Chain of Command, Club on Thursday, and I'll group you in a couple of weeks. Yes, Dex is doing some Chain of Command with you guys, isn't he, on Thursday? I'm sorry, I'll be taking some other people through sharp practice on Thursday. It's going to be a learning evening for everybody. Everyone's going to get a go. So during the Industrial Revolution, it began to be a thing. I suppose, yeah, that sounds about right. A friend of mine did the archaeology of allotments years ago when he was in York, but I never followed it up with him as to how old they were. I'll have to look into it properly. But yeah, I don't think they go back to Napoleonic times, but they certainly were First and Second World War, I would have said. Paul, hello. Hope you're well. Very well, thank you. Not for you tonight, just chilling, contemplating projects to come. I was wondering if you had done much early World War I Mons when your grandfather got gassed. I doubt he got gassed at Mons, Dave, because they weren't using gas at Mons. They didn't use gas until 1915. Ian and Steph, good to have you on board. And no, I haven't done much early World War One because, if I'm honest, I don't find it particularly interesting. 3D printing for you, good man. It's 1916 that things start to change in the First World War, and that's the bit I find the most interesting, because that's when tactics begin to change and new weapons are introduced. There's a massive shake-up of the British Army. So no, I haven't. 28mm Wild West buildings on the go. Excellent. I'd like to see some Singapore buildings as well at some point, Richard. Well, I've got two and you're sending me another one, so I'll get that painted. I'm going to, hopefully over the next few weeks, I'm going to finish off that Singapore campaign. That's my plan. I've got like a mental list of games I want to video over the next few weeks. So while my wife's away, I may as well take advantage of it and fit them in around other things that I'm doing. Right, just chip these down. I always clip the edges off these now and just round them off. I used to leave them squares, but I decided against it one time for some reason, and now I just decided that it's time to make them rounded, because then they look more organic on the tabletop. They fit in a little bit better than squares. You got them on stars. Is about all I actually found out. Yeah, well, he wouldn't have got gassed at Mons. He may well have got gassed later in the war, but not until at least April of 1915. And since Mons was happening in August of 1914. Could have been a time traveller. What I find interesting is a lot of people, when I give talks and stuff about the First World War, talk about First World War archaeology mostly, health and safety gone mad. Is a lot of people come up and say, oh, my grandfather was in the First World War, he got gassed on the Somme. It's like, well, they must have all been in the same place, because gas was barely being used on the Somme, because in 1916 it was kind of not really being used so much, because they were releasing it from cylinders, and that was entirely dependent on the weather, so it was a completely volatile weapon. It's only really 1917 where they start to actually put it into shells, and it gets a much better delivery system, so they can actually put it down. Evening, Andy. Can I ask what you suggest playing the Baltic Wars of Independence 18 to 20? I don't know much about them, but as they're so close to the First World War, I would suggest Through the Mud and the Blood. But again, depends on what level you want, really. Through the Mud and the Blood is platoon level. Square bashing might work. Square bashing probably would work quite a lot. That's First World War based, but it also has army lists for quite a lot of quite a lot of different theatres, from all the way from the Russo-Japanese War, I think, up to stuff in the 30s. I'm trying to think. I think it's like the Mexican-American wars. I can't remember. I can't remember which other ones it covers, but it covers quite a lot. So, you know, that is smack bang. The Baltic Wars are smack bang in the centre of it. But it would be very much, I would assume, very much First World War tactics, First World War organisations. So they, you know, since it goes obviously straight after it, there's not a war I know anything about really. Squad level fitting, I think. Small battles after all. Yeah. Fred's Factorum, evening. Yeah. Have a look at Through the Mud and the Blood. It's a great game, and you can do a lot with it because it's a card-driven system, so you can mess about with the cards for your deck. You put all kinds of different things in there. There is a supplement as well called From Empire to Revolution, which covers, I think, the Austrians and the Russians and Soviets. I know it's Austrians and they're not in the Baltic, but at least some of the Russian stuff in there might be of interest. So it's worth having a look at that at least. Try setting the East ablaze for the Baltic Wars. I don't know that one, but there you go. There's another recommendation. Who's it by? East ablaze. Ooh, something just hit me in the head. There was a fly. Right, that will go there. I've got to put glass into this this frame first of all, but at least I want to know how big it's going to be on here. Right, can we see that? Yes, there we are. Right, so now it is. Now I need to get a load of these fences from Sabotaged. So I'll just find the ones without the gates on them. Got loads of these, tons of them. I've got miles and miles of them. I need to get more walls now. That's what I need from Paul. Right, that's going to be way more than that. No, I've never heard of it either. No. Hit the like button, folks. 33 of you watching with 17 likes. If you don't like it, just hit the unlike button. Dislike. Hit a button. Just mash those buttons with your big fat fingers. Right, so this is a nice simple little job that anybody could do, even a buffoon like me. But I'm just trying to create some smallish scatter terrain, you see. Always been interested in the First World War African campaign myself. No idea I'd ever game it or what rules to use. You could probably get away with most First World War rules for it, really. It's just knowing what the organisations are. The tactics are going to be relatively similar. There's the really old Too Fat Lardies rules, which Nick wrote, called If the Lord Should Spare Us, which are Middle East, but would probably work, but it's a much higher level. Ken plays it a lot. You'd probably get away with doing it in Spearhead, Great War Spearhead. That is, if you could actually get through reading the book. Just don't hit the leave button. Oh, good point. Or if you do, just refresh the page. But yeah, if you could actually read the rules, then they might work as well. I mean, I tried. I did try. Just didn't get very far. But yeah, it'd be interesting to do some small unit actions around East Africa, because von Lotto, is that his name? The German commander was a bit of a commando kind of character, wasn't he? You know, deep into enemy lines and all that kind of stuff. League of Extraordinary Kriegsspielers, published by Partisan Press, designed for those weird wars. Ah, there you go. Okay, that makes sense then. Yeah, I've definitely not heard of them. just need to work out where my gate posts are gonna go. I don't need that. Don't need that. Let's get rid of that. Sorry, just doing some thinking. I'm not so good at thinking. Right, cut that one off. Because because they have to have an entrance, don't they? Any recommendation 15mm terrain for Napoleonic Spain? Ooh, I think Empires at War do some Spanish stuff. War bases do, I think, as do Sarissa, or they do like Mediterranean. They do some Roman style buildings which would work pretty well. I've got an Italian villa, which was a Roman villa which I had for infamy, but I've basically turned it into a Second World War Italian villa, so they'd work really. Yeah, have a look at those. They're all in MDF. There's obviously there'll be 3D printed ones kicking about. Evening, Mike. Hi, it is gardening time, absolutely. Gardener's question time. Or the Royal Horticultural Show. Take your pick. Would Boer War reading help First World War African fighting? Not really. Different tactics, massively different tactics. There's a good Boer War book by Spencer Jones though, called From Boer War to First World War. He talks about the change of British tactics. That'd be worth getting if you're interested in that tactical level of it. But yeah, different tactics. Things have changed. The Boers were more of a guerrilla fighting unit, whereas the East African German forces were slightly more conventional. They were using colonial troops, but they were slightly more European in their style of fighting. So, just slightly different. The Boers were much more like guerrilla fighters, from my understanding. There we go. I can knock these out. These are dead easy to put together. Oh, I saw as well. Napoleon is going to be released. How battles are directed. World War in Africa by Tip and Run, a good book. Okay, I don't know that one. Allotments, as we know them today, stem from the General Enclosure Act 1845. They made provision for field gardens to be used by the landless poor, although very little enclosed land was actually set. Well, there you go. We all know a little bit more about allotments. Thanks for that, Tim. Right, so that's another small one, small holding. I'm going to turn these into little vegetable patches. That's what they're going to be. Kruger Commando and CAC. It's a good read for World War. There you go. There's all the. Here's all the recommendations coming out. Keep them coming, folks. Blimey, there's a lot of you watching tonight. 30 odd of you. Most of you are pretty quiet. Say hello and chat. Tell me what you're up to. Tell the rest of us what you're up to. And see how wide these are. That comes out to this point here. Right, see if that goes to there. Ooh, it sounds like there's a football match on, I think. I can hear it being carried on the wind. The dulcet tones. Evening, James. More allotments. Lovely stuff, absolutely. I love an allotment, me. Can't make enough of them. I've already got loads, but I can make a full area of allotments if I really want to. 30 Years War pikemen tonight. Perry Miniatures. There you go. A little bit of everything. Let me just think. Sorry, I'm just thinking. Shut up, I'm thinking. If I do this, if I do it can't really use that one, so I'll use this way around here. I only need I need that to go there. Got to do a bit of thinking here, haven't you? Paul's saying different tactics and terrain from the Boer War compared to East Africa. Yeah. All I know is most ghoul allotments have unfinished or collapsed greenhouses of them. That is true. I love the Pakenham book about the AB War. Yeah, it's a classic, isn't it? The Thomas Pakenham one. Over time, I've had various copies of it. I never actually got around to reading it, but I do know it's a classic one. It's a big introduction to it all, isn't it? It's not a war I've got a massive interest in, the Boer War. It is interesting because it's, you know, it's the British Army pre First World War, and you know they had learnt a lot of lessons from it. Wrapping some kit you sold on eBay this evening. It's a bit prosaic. Any suggestions for better ways to sell spare kit without having to lump a big box to a show and bring them by, guys? Good question. I think you're already doing it, James, really, with eBay, even though eBay is not great, because people expect bargains, and then you've got all the other bits and pieces as well on top of it, all the other costs associated with it, like the eBay fees and things. But if you do know of any, let me know, because I've got a load of stuff I want to sell as well. I'm going to get rid of a lot of things, I think, over the next few weeks. At least that's my plan. Whether it happens or not is a different matter. It's just stuff I've never got. Great book for inspiration for Little World War I campaign is A Mimi and Tutu Go Forth. I've heard of that one. A real boy's own story that screams out to be gamed. Or something like an updated sharp practice, perhaps. Yeah, I've certainly heard the name. I don't know much about it though. Right, just get these done. The problem is with super glue, this stuff takes a little while to dry, so I might not be able to get the texture onto these this evening. We'll see. Mr. Lyon says, good evening. First time I watch and paint at the same time. Are adding some highlights to your German 50mm plastic soldiers, perhaps. I'll finish around Christmas. The first CNC. Good stuff. Keep working on them. That's all you can do. Right, so that's that. And that one's going to have a little greenhouse in it. I thought I'd got a couple of the sheds, but I don't know where they've disappeared off to. They must have got lost somewhere in the post, I guess. I don't know where they were, or what they're doing, or why they're doing it. Unfortunately, I haven't got any. No more anyway. I haven't got any CA accelerator for speeding up the super glue, so I can't do a great deal with those until the super glue dries, because otherwise it'll knacker my brushes up when I'm putting the texture paint on, and I don't want to do that. Even though I've got cheap brushes. Shouts at the Devil. It's great for First World War Africa inspiration. Yeah. Shouts at the Devil. Isn't that a Motley Crue album? I've got a feeling it is. Which is probably why I know it. Rather than the book itself. And tonight has turned into a discussion of World War I in Africa. Hasn't it? Right. Trying to think of what else I've got here to do. So I've got to varnish those Prussians. They'll be done by tomorrow. And just have a look around here, see what else there is. Keep meaning to start one of these big model kits, but I started the Roland C2 ages ago, but then I dropped it and the cockpit fell to pieces. It took me ages to put it together, so I couldn't be bothered to go back to it. It's going to be just sat in its box again. I just thought, right, we're done. We've fallen out. I'm not happy with you. So it's been sat in its box ever since, which is not a great place for it. But I've got a couple of tanks. I think I've got a Sherman. I've got a Churchill as well. which I really want to build, big 1/35th scale ones, because I haven't built any Allied tanks for a while. So I thought I'd do those, but I'm not going to start them tonight. But, you know, another time I guess, but not right now. Let's have a look. Is there? I could always put one of these shit houses on there here as well. One of the ones that Mike did for me. A little shit house with the an allotment. I'll get all these out. I'll get these sorted out, because this is some of that stuff that Mike sent over. So thanks, Mike, if you're still watching. And here's the rubble as well, which I've yet to paint up. What I can do is put this together in here. I've got some other bits and pieces. I'm just trying to put stuff together. I need to go through my boxes and find all the stuff I've got. I've got tons of 6mm figures kicking about that I'm never going to paint, because I want to get them in 3D printed rather than metal. So I want to do those at some point. And I've got these little oil drums and things, which I'm not sure what to do with yet. Whether just to make them into little oil drum dumps, or turn them into jumping off points. I'm not sure. I don't know what's for best with those at this point. I'm trying to figure it out. Whether to put a base on them as well. Film with Roger Moore, set around a German raider that was reporting in one of the rivers on the coast of East Africa. Also a book. I can't remember the author. There you go. And an album by Motley Crue. Which is never a bad thing, of course. I don't know. Should we risk it and see if I can knacker up one of my brushes with the super glue? Let's risk it. You know, it's what's TV if it's not Jeopardy? And I'll come back to these oil drums at some point. A little think about them. I'd turn them into a little supply dump or something like that, couldn't I? That's what started your interest on. There you go. Right, let's stick you to one side, and we get out the old earth texture. You found something less something to do. I can't see that under the heart. I'll see what it says when the next comment comes in. Right, where's that from? Been using this knife for ages. It's been knackered for ages as well. It's got nothing to hold it, so I have to hold it with a thing, which is very dangerous. If you're watching this, kids, don't do what I do. It's very dangerous. Right, let's have a look. That brush is probably best, I think, for this crappy job. I got rid of a load of all my old crappy brushes, the ones that were falling to bits, the ones that everybody uses for dry brushing. I'd got millions of them. They're all knackered. And I bought a load of crap ones off from Amazon for dead cheap. Well, these will do for texturing and stuff. I can always buy some new ones if these knacker up. But then it turns out the ferrules are very weak, so they're falling to bits already. So that was a waste of time. You know what they say: buy cheap, buy twice. And there we are. Right, so this is the Vallejo texture paint. What I'm going to do is once this is dry in the morning, or at some point tomorrow, I will give this a spray of burnt umber, and that will then bring it all together. And then literally all it needs is dry brushing, and then the various plants and things adding. Very simple job. And the good thing about this stuff is it just fills up the table. It just breaks things up. What are we all on about? Less noisy to do. There you go. There's some great stuff on Africa out there. Don't use Triumph and Tragedy to play Africa. I reckon Men Who Would Be King would work okay. We played Men Who Would Be King. Played a couple of games of it, but then we we went to a random activation with it, drawing cards for the unit, and I think that just made the game a little bit better. Enjoyed it, but I just think it just needed something from the base rules. But it's a very popular set of rules. A lot of people like them, don't they? And I do like Dan Mersey's approach to gaming, and he has some very good ideas in there. So I played many Would-Be King. I played Lion Rampant and Xenos Rampant, and enjoyed all of those. I don't know what other ones he's got. Dragon Rampant is the fantasy one, isn't it? Xenos Rampant is pretty good. I keep meaning to do a review of that as well, but my mate's got my copy of it at the moment, so I've not seen that for a while. I was just about to do a review and he said, "Oh, can I borrow it?" Yeah, sure. Never seen again. It's a good game, despite everybody wanting to play 40k with it. It is a good game. Never try Triumph and Tragedy. Many would be king okay, but a little basic. That said, I enjoy playing Indian Mutiny with them. Yeah, I thought they were a bit basic as well. That's what I mean. That's why we added a more of a random activation for the units. I know it's already kind of has it anyway, because you roll. I think you roll to activate, don't you? I think your unit. But yeah, we did it. We basically just used shout practice as cards, but all the rest stayed the same. And it just kind of added a bit of jeopardy and a bit of friction to the game, which is what it needs, I think. But yeah, I think they're a little basic myself. Right, I'm going to finish this, and then that's going to be me tonight, because that was an hour. And you can't even see what I'm doing. Sorry, I was doing that off camera. So there we go. So yeah, just at the moment, just adding this texture paint. This will dry overnight, and then I'll be able to sort that out. I was just going to say, I bloody love getting some old 40 kit on the table playing a Xenos. Looking forward to review. It just seems that everybody, literally everybody, is like, "Oh, I could play 40k with this." It's like, think outside the box, James. Get some different science fiction on the table. Play what you want at the end of the day, like it's your game. But I just had to leave the Xenos Rampant Facebook group because everybody was like, "Oh, I'm going to use my 40k stuff for this." Aled says, "Just woken up from your afternoon nap. Have the house to yourself on Friday. The modelling painting is taking everything over." I'm sorry, Aled. I'm just about to finish. You should have woken up earlier, old man. So I've got those two done at least. All the bases for those. Those will be finished off tomorrow. I've got those Prussians done. I just need to varnish them. And then I can finish off their bases tomorrow at some point with all the other ones over there. And so now I've got 3 allotments ready to go. I just need that one with its greenhouse to be sorted out. But apart from that, I'm happy with that. A nice little hour's work. And I managed to do a live stream. So thanks once again for everybody watching. Empress Miniatures used to carry Triumph, maybe out of print. Card activation system, good fun rules for the World War One, back and beyond, plus and a colonial supplement. Okay, we'll check that out. Right, so thank you everybody for watching as always. We'll try and next week I'm on the Modelling for Advantage guys live stream. Talking about First World War German tactics. So if you're interested in that, tune in. That'll be I'm not sure what time that'll be at, but I'm sure they'll announce it at some point. And once again, fellas and ladies, thank you very much for joining me this evening as I did a bit of painting.